Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited, we are on the record. Hi everyone, I'm Sarina Fazan, and thank you so much for joining us for this episode of On the Record. You know, I love this show because I get to talk about things that I'm so passionate about and sit next to people who are rock stars. Today, I am so beyond excited because I've put this on the record many times. My favorite Buccaneer player of all time, Martín Gramática.
Well,
hi, Martín.
Thank you for having me again. I feel less pressure now.
You do, because let's talk about it. This is the first time you've been in this studio.
Yes, but love in America, you know, when you start talking about love, like I didn't know how my wife was going to throw me under the bus about our engagement, you know, all that stuff, which she did. So now I feel like all that's on the table now, so I don't have to worry about too much. That
meant so much to me. So Love in America, of course, is my favorite series. And to have my favorite player kick it off, episode 1, with his beautiful wife, Ashley, who seriously, okay, valedictorian of high school, valedictorian of college, and really, she said on the show that you were the first guy that she dated.
Well, I mean, she was too busy studying, I guess. So, and then she just had to settle for me. She didn't have anybody to compare with, so I guess it was good for me.
Oh, please. So their story is so fun, and I would encourage people to watch it. I have to say, it was great, though, when you said you slept through your first date.
Well, you know, practice, you know, kickers, we do a lot. Not really compared to the rest of the guys, but I was exhausted all the time. So I went to bed early, and this was like early afternoon that I was out on the couch. So yeah, I slept through the first date. So I can't mess it up if I'm asleep.
Right. You're so funny. And this was 17 years ago. You guys are getting 17 years ago.
Well, the first date was 5 years prior to that.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
she made me wait that long.
Wow, 5 years.
Yeah, she wanted to make sure I was the right one.
So you have to watch the show. It's so fun. But yeah, that was during, clearly, the playing days.
Yes.
You know. Tell us before we start on what you're doing now, but about those years. So you have been out of football for how long now?
Well, I retired in 2008, so what's 14 years now? So it feels like it was yesterday. But no, those playing years, my favorite stage of my career obviously was Tampa, and then that's what we made our home. And I knew I was always going to come back, so I always kept the original house I bought my second year in the league. That's where we live now, because I knew I was coming home to Tampa eventually when I retired. So Tampa's home.
Wow. And so, Martín, you've been doing so much. And of course, I would be remiss not to ask you about football and what he thinks about the season. And you're still very involved with the Buccaneers, but we'll get to that later on in the show. But right now, you are so passionate about lifeguard imaging, and you reached out to me and asked if you could come back on the show or on the record and talk about it. So what is it?
Well, first of all, the crazy story is that I was a client first, and now I'm part of the company because I believe in it so much and I love what we're doing. And you know, when you hear you're saving 1 to 3 lives a day, sometimes you think that's a marketing thing. Now that I've been there and witnessing this, it's unbelievable. We're literally saving 1 to 3 lives a day. Through early detection. So we have it's a scan, a CT scan that, you know, we look for heart disease, and so our scan is from the neck, or basically from your chin all the way to your pelvis, and we see anything that every organ 3D. So we catch cancer, which is 90% of the cancers are in our mid region, and any heart disease. So it's incredible the things that we're seeing.
And you know, I took the scan, so we can roll some of the video of me actually taking the scan. And tell us the story, though. You and Ashley had been hearing the commercials, right, about lifeguard imaging.
So I wasn't feeling good. You know, when you're just off, and I started getting concerned because it's, you know, if you're not 100%, you think what could happen. And I hear a commercial. But then, you know, your life gets in the way. We put it off. So that 2 weeks go by. I hadn't called. I hadn't made an appointment. Then I keep forgetting the name of the company. Then I remember the name, and I don't have the number. So there's always a reason why I didn't call. All of a sudden, I'm on a trip to the Bucks, you know, for one of the to Washington D.C. With the Bucks, and Ashley overhears this conversation. He's like, "I think it's the guys that you were talking about, the company." It's like, "What company?" "Oh, the imaging." I was like, "Well," so we started eavesdropping on their conversation, which, by the way, Frankie realized that we were eavesdropping now. You know, 3 or 4 months later, he's telling me that he knew that. And then I see Frankie Maldonado get up, and he has a Kansas City Chiefs shirt on a Bucs plane when we landed.
Okay, like, and seriously, are you kidding? And talk about that particular game, right? I mean, of course.
Well, he's a huge Chiefs fan. He grew up, I mean, he's been a Chiefs fan, I think, since he was a baby. So he's like, I can't blame him for that, but don't wear it on our plane. So I had to tell him that. You know, when he got up, I said, are you out of your mind? You can't wear that on our plane. So we kind of hit it off. We spent, most of the weekend, at the dinners. Because the Bucs do a great job of, organizing dinners, events for those trips. So we hit it off. And then we landed on Sunday night, and I was scanning by Tuesday.
Wow.
And yes, and then the guys were like kind of out there, hey, you should come work with us. And at the time I'm thinking, I don't know anything about this. I just kind of didn't even think twice. And I said, nah, just let me get my scan. And then, so a couple of weeks later, I said, thank you. I brought a sign ball for Frankie and Eric, and he's like, well, let's get your wife in here. Well, I've been trying, but she's so busy with the kids. And Eric, who can convince anybody to do anything, calls her up from my phone and said, you need to get in here now. She was happened to be at the mall. So I went and picked her up at the mall. She came, got scanned, and never missed a beat, shopping.
Wow.
It's a 7-minute scan.
Right.
So that's kind of how it was. Again, they're like, you should come work with us. And I didn't think anything of it. And then Ashley's like, why don't you go hear them out? You never know if you like it, if you don't like it. And I loved it. I mean, I loved what they were doing. I just didn't know if I was a fit for it because I don't know anything about medicine. I don't think anything about CT scans. I'm learning as we go. But the thing is just making people realize how important it is to be proactive, and early detection does save lives. So once I realized that that's not hard to say or to tell people, then I was sold. I've been doing it now almost 2.5 months and love it.
You do love it. And so kudos to you first, too, as a husband, recognizing that shopping didn't miss a beat.
Well, yeah, she doesn't, with 3 kids, there's not a lot of free time to go to the mall for her. So I have more freedom, with my work than she does. So I don't want to interrupt you from that, but it didn't take hardly any time.
Well, you guys are both very, very active parents. And I do want to say, I mean, you coach kids now. And I've heard ever since you and Ashley were on Love in America, so many people have come up to me and said, and you're such a humble guy, but so many people have come up to me and said you've made such an impact on their lives as coaching.
I learned that from Coach Dungy. With Coach Dungy, he was more worried and concerned about what we were off the field than what we did on the field. So that when you have a coach like that, even if 10% of his care rubs on anybody that played for him, we're going to be changing lives. And so for me, it's humbling to hear that, and I appreciate that because I know the opponents probably don't think the same thing about me. but as long as the kids that I coach and the families that I coach appreciate what I'm doing or what we're doing together, because it's not really me, it's the parents and the kids as well, then I'm happy with that.
No, and I'm glad you mentioned that again about Coach Dungy, which you also did on the other show. I mean, he's the classiest man I've ever met, and he really, has made such a difference in people's lives, which you have done through coaching. But going back then to lifeguard imaging, what's so interesting is you could really, if you wanted to, endorse anything because you do have a lot of respect in the community. So when you first told me about this, again, you can see the passion, such passion you have about it. Why is early detection so important to you?
Well, because, no knock against medicine, but do they really want to cure us? They just want to, medicate us and not find a cure. That's what we all probably think. We don't want to say it, but so if we can detect things early before they become terminal and treat it before your quality of life deteriorates, then why not do it? Because right now our scans aren't covered by insurance because it just medicine hasn't changed, and that's one of the things that we're doing with our organization. We have an information gathering that eventually we will present this and hopefully change healthcare where everybody can get a scan to prevent, deadly cancers or heart disease. Because the first symptom of heart disease or major is a heart attack. Anytime you have a symptom, it's more likely a heart attack. Cancer is stage 3 or 4. So we can prevent that, and we're doing it every day with our scan.
Isn't that something though? I know, like when you first started talking about, I know you said you are not involved in medicine, don't know a lot about it, but I come from a family of doctors. Everybody in my family pretty much is a physician except for me. So the argument though, or that you started talking about, I know it's one that a lot of people don't want to talk about, and I think we do need to open up the conversation about long-term care, health care, prescriptions. I know, believe me, I know I'm opening up a can of worms. But so with the scans, I really appreciate too what you said. So this is just the beginning. You want to take it.
It's kind of like mammograms were not covered by insurance maybe 20, 25 years ago. but it's the most detected cancer and the most survived cancer. Why? Because there's early detection from it. So this is what we're doing with the whole body pretty much. So why can't this not be covered? So yeah, I know we don't want to open that can, but that's what we're trying to do now. And eventually, hopefully we get it where it is covered by insurance.
Hey, I don't mind opening up the can. This is my own network. I can't even believe it.
You can do whatever you want,
We can do whatever we want. So we can open it up. We can go open it up. So Martín, since you started it, you said only like 2.5 months ago, you have actually seen some of these stories of saving lives. Can you share some of them?
I have some personal friends that literally we saved. One friend of ours, her life. It's a couple. Their kids on our soccer team. The husband wasn't feeling well, so they knew that I was working with live imaging. They're like, "What these scans can it help me?" He was having dizzy spells. I said, "Yeah, come in. We don't know if we can help you or not until we find out if there is something wrong." So they come in, and the wife does not want to scan. She's like, "No, I'm okay. I'm okay. We're here for him. I want to make sure he's okay." So we finally convinced both of them to scan. I said, "You're already here. You drove up. You're in our office. You're not leaving without a scan." So I pretty much forced her to scan. And the husband, the scan came up perfect. So the dizziness could have been either dehydration or something else. They're still maybe running some other tests to figure out why he was getting these dizzy spells. Now, the mom of my player had her widowmaker literally 95% blocked.
You're kidding.
She was a walking heart attack.
Oh my gosh.
And she's had a stent put in now and recovering, doing much better. So that's the one case where it's touched me the closest. I've seen it. Other people that that have come through the office that we've heard stories. We have a lot of testimonials, but this one really hit close to home because I've known them for almost 7, 8 years now. So it was. I'm honored that and happy that we were able to save her, but it's just sad that And the one thing is, I feel like I'm ruining their day when you say, "Look, your calcium scored high," or "If we found this." But at the end of the day, you're saving their life. So you may ruin one day to save their life. So I was happy that she came in and got scanned.
Wow, and isn't it something, she's the one that was worried about her husband and did not want the scan?
We see it so many times, where you're concerned about your spouse or or a family member, and they're like, no, just worry about them. And once they're in, we're like, if you're here, take advantage of it. At least get your calcium score. And she did. She did a full body scan, and luckily everything else was fine. Just the heart was the issue, and luckily she's fine now.
Well, we have so much more to talk about, and I want to talk about the co-founder's personal story on why he started the business in the first place. But we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Label Swap is a retail store that you can bring in the items you don't want anymore. We will buy them for either a cash offer or store credit, and you can also shop the items as well. We carry anything from H&M, Lululemon, up to your luxury items like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. There's nothing really around like it here in the market. It is a fun, personalized experience.
At Precision, our mission is more than fixing broken garage doors
I think it looks great.
and selling new ones.
It looks amazing.
We aim to help those in need and to honor and lift up those who are making a difference
Thank you so much.
through our outreach program called Opening Doors in Our Community. People like Steve Chamberlain, who is fitting kids with prosthetic legs,
The people I've met, the families, we've changed so many lives.
or members of the military,
I'm the airman.
Oh boy, and I'm the Army.
like Frank Elliott.
We're teamwork, right?
Exactly,
That's why we're here for you today.
We appreciate
Okay,
that.
we appreciate you.
And of course, the people on the front lines during COVID, like Jessica, an ER nurse. At Precision, we want to thank everyday heroes for all you do. It was an honor to help you, and together, we are opening doors in our community.
We're back on the show. So you guys just saw a Precision garage door commercial, and so I was at Lifeguard Imaging, and I don't know how much Martín wants to share, but there
We
was
can
a...
share it. We can share it all. Because I'll throw this kid under the bus all day because he deserves it.
Okay, so tell him what happened with your son.
Well, I don't know how I have a 0 calcium score with a middle son like that because he's nuts. So he keeps us on our toes.
He may have crashed the golf cart into the garage.
Almost through the garage, but what's crazy is when he hit the garage, instead of stopping, he hit the gas and kept going. So but the funny part is, if we have time, I'll tell a little bit. So I'll do it fast because I know we don't have a lot of time. But so I asked him to have me some food and a bottle of water ready because I'm dropping my oldest son off, and then I'm literally not even getting out of the car to go to my daughter's game. So I just give me this quick snack, and he's at the door with a bag of food and the water. I'm thinking like, in my mind, I thought it was shocking. Usually I got to honk, yell at him, get out of the house. He was ready. He just didn't want me to get out of the car and see that the garage was dented, and they had parked the car in front of it so I couldn't see it. But then he calls his mom later and tells him the whole story, and then I find out that I thought it had just happened when he called, but no, it happened before I even got home. So he covered it up, but yeah. So Precision did an awesome job. They were super nice, super nice.
Oh,
So I appreciate that. Yes, I'm glad you were at the office.
I know. What are the chances?
But I had made an appointment, and it was with Precision, so it worked out perfect. Yes.
Well, bless your son's
Yes.
heart, though, that he's okay.
He's fine.
You know?
Yes, he's fine. He might be in timeout for about his rest of his life. You know, the way.
But you bring up your son, right? And you have 3 beautiful children, and you and your wife are so active with coaching. You guys go to all the games together yourselves. But that's why also it's so important, right, for you to be healthy.
Oh.
So
100%.
going back to like lifeguard imaging, where you're in a position right now where I know you have the Gramática Family Foundation, which continues to give back to the community, and then with coaching. So to get involved in something that you really didn't even know that much about, again, for people who might be joining the show late, clearly it's very important to you.
Yes, well, that's a great point. I have young kids that I want to be there for them, and when you hear Frankie's story where his dad didn't get a chance to walk, well, he's not going to walk his son down the aisle, but be present at his wedding, you start to think, I want to be there for my kids. I want to be there for my daughter for her wedding. So to be proactive and be healthy and make sure that we're there for them, the longer the better, it made perfect sense for me to jump on board, help out, and just get the word out as much as I can.
And I want to talk about Frankie in just a moment, but the couple that you talked about just before the commercial break that came in because the wife was worried about her husband, and she got the scan, and then they detected what was going on with her heart. They're only in their 50s.
Correct. Yes.
Gosh.
Yes. So we're seeing in the 40s. We're seeing the thing is with heart disease and cancer, it doesn't discriminate. We know that gender, age, race. I mean, you just don't know. Your family history doesn't really matter. I mean, it may play a part in it, but sometimes you have perfect family history and then somebody has something. So you just never know. That's why until you look inside the body, we don't know. And we have so many cases where people come in and, for example, there's a 65-year-old guy that came in and we look at him, we're all jealous. Like his body was like all cut because he's a cyclist, just fit as can be. And he had a tremendous calcium score, and he was shocked. He had no idea because he had gotten a scan similar like 20 years ago, and it was at 100 or something. So he wanted to reduce it. He changed his diet. He cycles 25 miles a day, lost 20 pounds, and still had a huge. So we just don't know if it's genetics, nutrition, everything can play a part of it. So that's why looking inside is the way to go.
Absolutely. So Frankie, who you've been talking about, he is one of the co-founders, right?
Correct.
And his story, and I want you guys to know, so when I got my scan, there's only a few scans in these machines in the country. There's 4.
There's
right?
only 4 offices that do what we do in the country. The entire country. The scanners, you can, there's other scanners like ours. Hospitals may have the scanners, but they're not utilized for preventative medicine. They're utilized for when you have something wrong, they'll scan you for that particular organ or body part that's wrong, but they don't do a full body for preventative measures. We do that.
So share the story with the audience on why Frankie started this business.
Well, Frankie unfortunately lost his father to pancreatic cancer. He was a prominent doctor in Maryland, and so he knew that something was off in his body. So he, in his hospital, asked the head of radiologists, hey, I need a scan, I think my pancreas. What the hospitals use is they use scanners that have thicker slices. Our scanner has slices that are right next to each other, so we don't miss anything. So they literally missed Dr. Maldonado's cancer with one of those gaps in between the slices. And literally almost 11 months later, he was declared with cancer and then passed away from it shortly, I think 6 weeks after that. And it's just a sad story because this is a doctor that knew something was wrong. When he came out of the scan and they didn't see anything, he said, okay, thank God, I'm fine. Now let's see if something else. And they just missed it. By the time, you have the symptoms like Dr. Maldonado had, it was too late because it already had spread all over his body.
And so now to see and hear that his son is taking proactive steps to make sure that other families, or hopefully save, as you said, save lives.
Right.
So to ask this question though, and I know that the goal, of course, is to get it covered by insurance, but right now, if someone wants a scan, what do they need to do?
Well, we're offering for anybody listening to your show a complimentary heart scan.
Oh gosh,
So-
thanks, Martine.
Oh, no,
my gosh.
No, you're welcome. We want to do that because we're doing that for soccer coaches. We had a soccer coach that was 29 years old, passed away from a heart attack.
29?
29. I think it was 29 3 years ago. So we're offering that to all our youth coaches. So you just come in, and then we have other options for full body, a 6-year plan, a 10-year plan, and patients can choose what fits their need or what they want to do or what they want to scan or how much they want to scan. So we leave it open for them to choose what they feel like they need. But they just come in. They can just call our office and then schedule an appointment, and we'll show them everything we have. But for now, they can come in for a complimentary heart scan.
Wow, so thank you so much. So just say that you were on the show, and they can.
If they say
can come in.
Sarina, then they're hooked up.
Oh gosh, no, thank you. Honestly, that means so much to our entire team, because any way that we can help the community, we would love to do that.
No, and I appreciate you getting the word out as well, because the more people know about it, the better it is, because we assume that there's nothing out there for this. I didn't know there was a possibility to scan and be proactive, and besides nutrition and taking care of your body, you don't know that there's other avenues that you can be proactive and hopefully find something early.
It's interesting that you brought up the mammogram too. Like, years ago, mammograms were not covered.
Correct.
And so hopefully, getting the word out about these scans, that it will be just part of the insurance, and
that would be
they'll get
amazing.
covered.
That would be amazing. And the other thing too, we're opening 1 to 3 offices a year. That's the plan. We have our Scottsdale office that we're literally signing the lease right now. We're looking into Fort Myers, Naples area. I grew up in that area, so I said, look, definitely there's a place to be in Naples, Fort Myers area, Jacksonville, D.C. So we want to expand. So the plan is not to go anywhere. The plan is to expand all over the country and hopefully save more lives.
And how are you seeing it so far? I mean, are you seeing more and more people coming into the office?
Oh, yes. The word's getting out, and when I mention it to people, they're like, oh, I saw a commercial, I heard about it. Early on, they're like, well, explain to me, what do you do? What do you guys do? Now they've either seen a commercial or read something about it, so it's getting out. Obviously, not as fast as we'd like to get out, but that's what we're talking to people like you, trying to get the word out so they know that option's out there.
Well, they're lucky that they have you, and we're lucky to have you on the show. I would be remiss, though, like with you on the show, that we have to talk about football a little bit.
A little bit, that's fine.
Okay, so because you're still involved with it. Tell us what you do for the team, because you mentioned you were on the plane, right? That's
Yes.
where you met Frankie. But tell the audience what you do for the team.
So right now, I'm the color for the Spanish radio for the Bucs. We're going on our 5th year. Carlos Borges, who you've met, he does the play-by-play. He's the best play-by-play by far. I mean, he does it like a soccer game, so the excitement, the energy. So anytime we score a touchdown, everybody's looking at our booth to see how crazy Carlos gets. But the coolest thing is that we've added one more member to our team. It's Santiago, my brother. He's going to be the sideline reporter. So he's going to be on the sideline. We weren't able to add him on earlier because of COVID, so now he'll be on the sideline. Now we'll get more information. It'll be easier for our listeners to see what's going on, because sometimes from the booth we can't see everything that's going on, so he's going to be our eyes and ears on the field.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
you get
cool.
a chance to work with your brother.
Yeah, so
oh my
cool.
gosh, that's awesome.
I'm excited about that.
So, okay, Martin, we have to talk about Tom Brady, though, coming out of retirement after a couple months. What are your thoughts on that?
To me, that was the best news of the offseason, obviously, and I'm sure the happiest guy was probably Jason Light. Because Jason Light, I don't know how he hasn't been general manager of the year because he's done a phenomenal job with his team, building the team. And when everybody said you're putting all your eggs in one basket to win now, when we brought Tom Brady in, it's like, well, we're doing it, and we did it. So, I mean, it worked. The plan worked. And I feel bad because now the Rams copied us, and they did the same thing, and they won there. So yeah, it's so excited to have Tom back, and especially all the guys you saw how they started signing right away, because they know they want to play with the best, and he brings the best out of people. And I got a chance to meet him and play with him. I mean, one preseason game, so I can't really consider I played a lot with him, but I was in New England for a little bit of time. But I saw there why he's the greatest. Just his work ethic, the way he treats people. For me, is how humble he is for what he's achieved. That's to me his biggest thing. Because you see him talk about family. That's when he does the documentaries about his parents, how he emotional he gets. He was emotional. I saw an article where He was emotional. He doesn't think he's as good as dad as his dad was to him. I mean, for a guy that to achieve what he's
Right.
achieved, to feel bad that he can't be a great dad, I'm like, so he's just a great person, and I think that's made everybody better, and we're so lucky to have him.
I feel the same way, and of course, I've always put it out in the universe that I would love him and Giselle. Love in America. But what's so funny? Like, can you imagine?
Would they be
that?
your second favorite couple?
Well, yeah, maybe my second. I know.
Oh, okay,
'cause-
okay.
well,
Just
'cause
checking, just checking.
We clearly know who
Just
my
checking,
first is. Well, speaking of that playoff game, I was actually so humbled and honored to watch it with the Fournette family, who remembered me from New Orleans when I anchored in New Orleans.
Oh, nice.
And Leonard Fournette, though his number is 7.
Yes, yes. At first, I had mixed feelings. I'm like, come on, a running back using my number, but then he's done so good with it. I said, hey, you run with it. So, and he's such a humble guy. I was on a flight to New Orleans with him, and I didn't say anything, but I saw people coming up. It was happened to be the LSU Florida weekend, and all these Florida Gators were going up to him and saying hello, and he's a Buck now. And he was so humble and so nice. So it's nice to see, because sometimes you hear things in the media and you hear stuff, and like when you witness it yourself, how humble, how nice he was. I became a huge Leonard Fournette fan after that.
Well, it was so nice because his mom was on the show. And when I was watching the game, so I was with them watching the game, and I did text you, I think, because I said, oh my gosh, I'm with Leonard Fournette's family and number 7. It was so nice to see Tom Brady come back, though, because could you really retire after those last 2 minutes?
Well, he would have retired on top, though. For him to come back and bring the team back, and the year we were feeling bad, like, why are you retiring when you're at your best? I mean, he should have been the MVP. I mean, I know they gave it to Aaron Rodgers, but Tom Brady clearly should have, in my opinion, should have been the MVP. So he's playing at a high level. So, but at the end of the day, he has a family and he has a life. So I hated seeing some of the comments, like, oh, you came, you fixed our program, now you're leaving. He's 45 years old. What do you expect him to play till he's 70? So I will be thankful for everything he's done for the Bucs, and not upset if he were to retire. I would have been sad, but not upset. I mean, he's given everything to the team.
Well, in our last couple of minutes, what's your prediction for the team this year?
I think we're going to be great. I mean, our division is not the strongest right now. We know that. So adding Tom Brady back, adding all these weapons, we're definitely a playoff team. I'm hoping another Super Bowl. That's the goal, obviously. I think if the Bucs don't win the Super Bowl, they're going to feel like they failed. That's because of the pieces they have in place. And obviously, having Tom Brady, you don't have the luxury of having him forever. So yes, you have to take advantage of this year. And I think they've done a great job of rebuilding and putting pieces together to win another one.
Well, it's super, super exciting. And it was super exciting having you back on the show to talk about lifeguard imaging. And again, I would encourage you guys to look it up. We'll share the web information. And if you see the show, you can go in and say you saw it on the show, and you can get a free heart scan.
Absolutely. Yes, but give us a call, then we'll put you in get an appointment. Yeah, come in anytime.
Hey. Thank you so much, Martín.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course, absolutely. Anytime. Are you kidding? Hey, guys, if you have a story you would like to recommend, or a couple you want to recommend for one of the shows, please reach out to us. Just email us. You can email us at any time. And also, you can share the shows on multiple social media platforms. We're also on Roku, and we have many other announcements coming soon. But we so appreciate it. Once again, thank you so much, Martín. My regards to Ashley.
I will. Thank you.
She's like, talk about rock star. She's one of mine, man. Oh my gosh, you don't get better than that.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.